So very often I'm greeted by people who are looking at their first Mercedes, and what we see more often than not is a tendency for people to assume that newer is better. So as a result, these people start looking at some of the worst Mercedes on the planet. The W210, the R129, and by the way, if you're an R129 owner, don't piss your pants. You know that your hydraulics top cylinders could fail at any minute. The W202, which is not a bad car if you're looking for basic transportation, and sometimes the W140 or the 220S class, which, you know, again, are extremely complicated cars. Instead, they forget to look at the 107, the 123, the 126, early versions of the 124, and the W201. Now, all of those cars are really great cars, and you can even go back further to the 115 and 116S classes and have a car that's really easy to use and drive every day once you sort it out. The problem is the underlying assumption that just because a car is newer, it is therefore better. And that's what we're going to discuss today, and how and why Mercedes-Benz that are newer aren't necessarily better cars. So let's begin here. In 1994, Mercedes launched the W202C class. In 1990, they launched the R129 using some new mechanical applications, but mostly older ones. And then in 1992, they launched the W140S class. Now, a lot of people say, oh, the W140 is really not that bad to own and operate. I have a friend named Michael Mulder who, believe it or not, owns an S600 and maintains it himself. And Michael always chimes in on Facebook, oh, these cars aren't that bad to work on. Well, Michael is an exceptionally patient and intelligent guy, which basically means that his thoughts only apply to him, because most of us are not as patient or as intelligent as Michael is. The thing is that people sometimes make the assumption, oh, I want to get into a vintage Mercedes, and then they think that the word vintage applies to something like a 1992 400 SEL. And that's simply not the case. The term vintage Mercedes is a term that actually applies more so to Mercedes that were designed and built in the era of infinite repairability and reliability, which the 129, 202, and 140 do not belong to. And the 220 doesn't belong there either, just in case you're going to try to make that argument. I get really frustrated with this stuff, because when people email me, you know, wanting information, they start off with, which of these cars should I be looking at? An S500 sedan, an R129 SL320, or a 1995 E320. Now, the 95 E320 isn't a bad car, but there were better versions of the 124. The problem really begins for me, I think, when people don't look backwards, because the golden era of Mercedes-Benz construction and reliability really ended between 1990 and 95. That was it. Mercedes never recovered from that. Even today, they haven't recovered from that, because the cars just became too complicated to maintain. So if you're looking for an old car that's complicated to maintain, you can buy, you know, an R129 or a W140. If you're looking for a car that's going to need a lot of initial sorting up front, but will generally not have an expiration date, you can look at, you know, a 126 or a 123, etc., etc. But by no means should you put the more modern cars in the same category as the cars from the 70s and 80s. If you're looking for a vintage Mercedes, you may not know this or understand this, but the cars you're looking for were built and were actually designed prior to 1990. And that's what we're all about here on this channel. So if you chime in asking for opinions about the W220S class or the 201, not the 201, the 202 or the W210, those just aren't cars I work with every day. I'm the wrong person to ask. Anyway, if you enjoy looking at more variety and newer stuff, you could check out one of my favorite channels, Vito's Garage. I think Vito's going to change his channel to the name Vito's Mercedes Garage or something like that. Aren't you, Vito? But his production, I think, is actually more entertaining than mine. Mine is just more straight information. I think his has definitely got, you know, a lighter side to it. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you're a new Patreon supporter or an old Patreon supporter, we thank you immensely. And in the meantime, leave a comment below if you think I'm crazy. All right, enjoy driving your Mercedes Benz. And when you look for your next Mercedes, remember, if it was designed before 1990, then you're going in the right direction. Take care.